Hello, great minds. How are you doing? You're welcome to another tutorial by De-Radiance Academy. So in this video, what I will be teaching you is how to make our sequins turban, and it's going to have two knots on top. The design is going to be two knots, it's not one knot now. So these are the material we're going to be using. I will be using these sequins. I don't know, I just came across this in the market like a year ago. So it's just like your normal sequins. I think I have something like that here, just like all these sequins, but a little bit different from it. Just a little different from it. The thing is that it's not transparent. It's not transparent. That is the difference because they use something at the back. I'll also be using this shiny crepe, my foam, the machine thread and needle. So let us move to this turban. So in this video, I'll also be showing you how to make the turban, because I don't want a situation whereby people will be asking that, oh, I don't know how to make the turban. That is why I will show it step by step. I like doing a video like that. So the body of the turban here, I'm having 22 inches for the length, and the width I'm having 27 inches. The width for the head circumference 26, let me say 26 inches for the head circumference side, and I use the stretchy part. So don't mind this place, it's going to fall at the back. So this turban, the front is going to have the V shape, and later is going to continue with the straight pleats. Straight pleats. You're going to understand what I'm trying to say. So let us first sew the V shape. The measurement for this is 4.5 for the length. I have 4.5 here by 17 inches. 17 inches by 4.5. So we're just going to sew it the way we do sew our V shape. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to place it on each other. This end there, this pointed end there must touch the down part, and this pointed end here must touch the down part. So that is the secret. That is the secret. So there's no way you can do it if the two parts, the two pointed part is not touching each other the way I describe it. If you do it that way, another way, it might not form very well. That is why you see some V shape that is not coming out nice. So that is the secret. I do make my own, and it's going to remain perfect without any color on top. So I'm going to take it to my sewing machine now and secure it. I'll sew it like this. Yeah, I'll trim out the excess now and not the center. I've already got in the center. I'm going to set it aside and form straight pleats with this body of the turban. Don't forget, I'm using 22 inches by 26 inches. So I'm going to fold it like this, like about 2 inches, and secure it with my office pin. I'll take it to my sewing machine now and sew straight. So I just sew close to the end. Now you can go ahead to pleat on it. Just form it like this and sew. So the sewing must the next place must cover where you first sewed, and by the time you want to sew, make sure you sew close to, if you touch it, you will see where it's going, the material down stopped. So you just sew straight on it. So I'm just taking my time to explain this because of the beginners that are with us. Now sew it just the way I described. Sew it, you can form like 2 to 3 plates depending on how long the material. Now after forming the 2 plates, I'm going to attach the V shape to it. But before I go ahead to do that, let me first hide this where I sew. I don't want it to be showing outside, so I'm going to take it to my sewing machine again and fold it like this, and sew. So if I want to sew now, I'll sew above this place I'll come to this side to sew. I'll come to my side here to sew it. I'll just sew straight so that by the time I open it, it will be hidden. This is what I'm saying. You can see that it's neat now. So I'll get the center of this and get the center of this. I already got it the center of this. So, and here is the center of this because I've indicated it with my chalk before. Now I'm going to take it like this, the center just like this, and I'll use my needle, my office pin to secure it. I also take this one the same way, and I will secure it the same way with this. I will secure it. I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew. Let me first secure so that I can explain to you how you're going to sew. Now I've already secured it with my office pin, so I'll take it to my sewing machine now and sew. So this is how I'm going to sew. So this is how I'm going to sew. I will raise, this is the first pleat on the turban and this is the V shape. So the next pleat, the second pleat on the turban, on the body of the turban is what I'm going to raise up. So, and I will sew. So by the time I sew, this one can rest on where I sew and where I sew you will not be seeing it outside. So this, just make sure you secure it very well and while you are sewing, you are patient while sewing it. So I'll start from here, or let me start from the beginning and I'll raise this one up. So very close to where I sewed before. I don't know, maybe you can see, so my hand is, the shadow of my hand is hidden, is blocking that side. Hey, I'm sure, sorry, I believe you can see what I'm doing. I believe you can understand. So I'll raise it up and sew under it so I can rest on it. Yeah, so the two things you must assure you put in place before you sew is that you must sew. This is where I sew now, the new place I sew, and this is covering it. It's not, you are not seeing it outside. So the two things you must put in place is that you must sew under this, and while you are sewing this, the V shape, you must sew on the V shape together with the one on top. So if you are sewing outside the V shape, it's not going to sew. Now I'll trim out the excess. I'll trim out the excess and move on to the next thing. So it might not necessarily you do something like this, but I just like doing something new. In fact, this is my first time trying to sew the V shape and the straight pleats together. So this is my first time trying it and it comes out nice. So it's always good to try out new things. I I'm just tired of using just one pleat or only V shape alone. So I will take my time to trim out the excess and also weave it. So if you want it to avoid biscuits like this, though it doesn't affect it at the outside, but if you want it to be smooth, you understand, to be plain, just make sure you sew the band, the V shape straight before you attach it to, you sew it outside before you attach it to the turban. Now I'm going to fold like this. I'm going to fold like this. We may use the S circumference, or let me just leave that for now. So I will take my measuring tape, measure about 4 inches. I'll measure 4 inches. So and I will sew. I'm not going to sew this place. I'll start it away. I'll start sewing from this side. So I'll sew close to the edge, and when I come here, just sew it the way you do sew your like 4 inches or five. I'll sew and sew and sew to the end there. After sewing, just trim out the excess. And we move on to the next thing. We'll set this aside now. We do the one stitch later. So let us move on to the design on top. Now for this, I have 7.5 inches for the width, 7.5 inches for the width, and the length I have, oh sorry, I have 54 inches. You can use the whole length of your material. So I have 54 inches. I'm going to take it to my sewing machine, fold it into two, and sew straight. So sew straight, turn it out, and insert my fold inside it. Yeah, so I'll be inserting this fold inside it, cut. Now, how I know the measurement to cut for my foam is that after sewing, I measured what I have left and I have 3.5. So I cut 3.5 here, and the same length with the sequence. So if you are using a sequence that is like this, because the common sequence you will always see in the market is like this, or velvet sequence. If you are using a velvet sequence, let me show you what is velvet sequence. Okay, I think I still have one here. If you are using a velvet sequence, this is not transparent. You don't need line for it. But if you are using a sequence like this, you need to line it, like you need to cover the foam with a lining. So what you're going to do is that you sew the way I sew this. You sew the lining separately and you sew this separately. So the lining, you will put this foam inside the lining first after sewing it, and insert the lining with the foam inside the sequence that you sew. I hope that is clear, but I don't need to do that here because this sequence I'm using here is not transparent. But if you're using a velvet sequence, you don't need to do that. Now I'm going to insert this inside, pull it inside, and bring it out from the other end. This foam is not going to do enough. I'm going to attach, or let me say glue and that foam to it so that it can meet up with the same measurements with the sequence. Now I'll try to be pulling it inside and bring it out from there. If you want to bring it out from there, don't draw the foam, there's your power. You're going to cut. So I've inserted the foam inside the sequence. Just make sure you are careful while doing it. Because when I was doing my own, the foam cut out at the middle and it was very stressful. So get the middle of this sequence. This is the middle. I've used my pin to indicate that side. So you do one knot at this side and another knot at this side. So by the time this one is going to be at the middle, one knot at this side and the other knot here. So your knot is just the same, just normal way you knot. Just make sure that this knot you tie here is same thing with the knot you're going to tie here. So make sure you get the center. The knot is not going to reach the center, but almost it's going to be almost there. And I will try to knot another one here same way. It might not be the same way because of the right side and the left side. So just make sure you do a knot and do it very well. So knot it and don't draw it too tight. So after you have knotted, place it on your mannequin on the turban. Just look at the way it's going to come out. Maybe you're going to use the left or use the side, use the front. Now here is it on my cap on the turban. I've not sewed the turban at the back. I just use surface pin to pin it down so that I can determine I'm going to hold this on. Maybe the front is okay for me or the back, which any side I would like to put at the front. Just make sure I look at it very well and I see the one that's convenient for me. So after determining where I'm going to use, I will use my needle and thread. So all the way down, I'll sew it to the turban. I'll use it to sew it and I'll sew it in a way that to be invisible. I'll sew the two together so that we can continue with the next thing. Now I'm going to remove the design on top and sew it. So for me to know exactly where I'm going to sew, it's very easy. So this is the center. I just sew here and sew here. I can just indicate it with chalk to know where I'm going to sew. Please, there's no any special way to do this. Just sew it in a way that you won't see the thread outside, invisible tacking. So, and I'm not sewing any place on top here, or I'm just holding down just to let the design stay on top. So I can able to go ahead to twist or to do anything on it. So to 4 to 5 times and not. Now after sewing it, I'm going to twist. So I will twist this It's not like twist or roll. Yeah, I'm going to roll it. I'm not going to roll it too tight. Just roll it somehow like that. So the same thing I'll do to the second end. But before I go ahead to do that one, I will use my needle and thread or office pin to pin it down and take it to sewing machine to sew. What I'm doing right now is using my needle and thread to sew an invisible tacking. So it's very easy to sew since it's soft. So just sew an invisible tacking, and by the time you are sewing, make sure you open the inside so that by the time you can go close to where you came out to have any rough thing inside. So the same thing I will do to the other hand. Now after sewing the side, the twist to the two sides, so we're going to sew the hair circumference. We just make sure you indicate it before you sew this to it because it's going to affect it if you want to measure it. So I've already indicated that, and this is where 11 inches stopped. Now I'll just sew it the way you sew your turban. I'll sew like this and come to this side and sew just to have the back effect. I know it's not that I'll just sew like this or you understand. I'll sew like this. Yeah, I've sewed it together. You see. So make sure, I forgot to tell you before I sew, make sure you sew this and don't allow your phone to reach the end of the sequence. Make sure you put it inside so that you can sew it together. Yeah, I'm going to trim out the excess now and do my running stitch. So the running stitch will be front and back. I just decided to make it front and back before make your own to be at this side alone. So I will make it front and back. So the way I'm going to make it front and back is like this. So just because of the beginners in our maze, I'll do the running stitch from here. I'll stop here and knot it. Another running stitch will start from here to where the pleat started here, and I will do it together. That is front and back gathers. So I'm not going to show you that. It's very simple. That is just it. I'll do the front, the back stitch. Now this is how it's going to look. You see the back. So if you don't want it to have gather back, it doesn't mean anything. Just make sure you sew it the way you sew your turban. So if you want it to have gather at the front, make sure you do it before you attach the design to the top so that it will be very easy for you to do. So, and I also noticed something that while sewing the design to the top, I noticed that this bow did not really be at the center. It seems that it comes to the side, but it's still okay. Still okay. It's because of video that I'm making. That is why I was not really calm down to do it very well. Make sure you just design your own the way you want it to be. And I will still go ahead to bring this thing to the front a little. You can stay at this side. Can stay at this side. All right, thanks for watching. Bye bye. See you later.